So when they approached us about then doing this on stage, what were your thoughts?
Well, I was all for it.
Join me as we continue with Eamon Wood as he discusses what it's like to be in a play that's both zoomed and then performed in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do it. I was curious. It's like I've done this now, and we have the time and the space ready, and I thought, well, I'd like to see what it's like on regulars. I was curious because I felt very constrained in that box. And I'm supposed to be this very crazy character flailing away, really, and I was. And it wasn't until we got it on stage that I really started to understand how much you can, the physicality of...
You could allow for that.
You could allow. Because Zoom is much more like television, I would say, than is like television, frankly, where it's like you have to stay very still. You can't manifest physically the emotions of the character as much.
It's all your voice.
It's all your voice and your face.
Yeah. Yes.
In as much as the face can come out in Zoom, because my theory is that, and I've said this to people, is it pretty much makes everyone beige. It takes, because the algorithm kind of mushes you a little bit.
Well, there's camera quality that's involved, how good your lighting is, if and if not, you have a green screen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are so many...
And a good green screen.
Good green screen, a good camera, good lighting for that green screen. There are so many mitigating factors in all of that. Now, how did you feel performing with others and then performing in a house after, 16, 18, 20 months of not doing any of that?
Well, I was a bit out of practice, frankly, just moving. And not just moving because of the Zoom, just moving, period. I mean, I remember getting here the first rehearsal. It took me 25 minutes to get out of my house. I don't know why. It was that. And I was late to come to see you. And I was like, I forgot. I forgot how to get myself going at 6 o'clock, because 6 o'clock was generally you get home, you lock the door, and then you're in for the night.
The opposite of what? Yeah.
So it's like, and then I'm like, do I have this? Do I have that? Do I have my belt? The first time when I left my house, I couldn't find my belt for two weeks. It's like, okay, I just have to keep my belt out.
So I know where it is.
On
the doorknob.
On the doorknob.
I don't leave without it.
And then when I came here, you're just out of practice. And you're numbed. You're physically numbed from the last year and a half. So that it took a while to feel like you had permission to move.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then when it happened, then it was liberating. I mean, it was incredible. It's like, and I was like, wow. That's why I wanted to do it more, because I was finally going. I was like, I reattached my emotions to my physical being.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that when I've now done things with Zoom or on camera, I'm
emoting more.
And they're just like, okay, I don't want to be constrained anymore. It's like being in Hollywood Squares. That's what our lives have become.
Yeah.
We've been, purgatory was being in Hollywood Squares. And, the middle with Paul Lynn was that would be the, but anyway, so yeah, so it was just transitioning back was the thing, because you lose that muscle. You lose that muscle to want to.
I was very fortunate because I did the Zoom Caesar with you guys, which I loved. I did the Silk Hat thing, which I also enjoyed, although I didn't like trying to memorize the lines. I have a story. We can tell that if you want. But I also did Blame It on Beckett. People are going to be tired of seeing me at the end of this year. They're like, we come back and all it is Eamon on stage or Eamon in a movie. But I did Beckett, which is kind of a hybrid, right? So we did it together. I mean, all the actors were in the same space together, and we rehearsed it and then taped it together. But then it was distributed via video. So I had that. I had already started warming back up to at least performing in front of other people. Having an audience, that was the first time that I had been in front. Well, I hadn't been in a show before this for like 5-6 years, but I'd been in front of a crowd. Like I'd give a curtain speech, or you go upstairs at a stim and do whatever. That was the first time in front of people. That for me, and I'd be curious to know how you felt. That for me was an adjustment. But it wasn't as aggressive because I already had, like, I was more comfortable, I think, here than many people were that hadn't even had the experience of acting and blocking and doing that, you know, upstage versus, you know, am I upstaging? Am I turning out? Like, there are so many things that were kind of just lost in the era of Zoom because you don't have to worry about it. You just stand in front of the camera in your box, as you say.
In your box.
And you don't kind of move.
Yeah, the audience was something to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So I got used to the rehearsal, and I will say that in rehearsal, Bill Brown once laughed, and it threw me because I wasn't ready to have someone on the other side of the lights, you know, say something. He said, "You got to, you know, if someone laughs, you got to take it in." I go, "I haven't done this in 18 months. Okay, I got to get used to that." You know, it's not a private matter anymore.
Yeah.
And
well, it's funny you say that because in order to try to memorize the lines for doing the stage show, you were kind enough to send me the audio file for the final, but and I won't name who, but somebody's mic was still on, and there were 2 instances. You didn't catch this? There were 2 instances during you're in our scene in the video version of it, because I have the audio, as I said, that somebody laughs. Somebody else had their mic still on, and they chuckled.
I went through the video and I tried to edit them out, but if they were right on,
no, it was spot on. But it was funny. I'm not suggesting that that's a, you know. I think it's a kind of a creature comfort of just the kind of the amateur, being a little bit amateur and doing. I mean, you did an amazing job. Like, no, it's not a slight to say you. I just thought, like, to hear somebody respond and react, because that, you know, I will say too, by doing the Blame It on Beckett, which everybody should have seen. If you haven't, you should try to find it from somebody.
I don't think David Eby's going to allow pirate copies out.
Then we'll have to have everybody come down. We'll pop some popcorn and we'll show it on the.
Well, we should.
We should. But I digress. That show was, you know, melodramatic, but it had a comedic element to it as well. But, you know, allowed for some reactions that you never had, and that was not an experience that I've ever had before. You're not waiting for a laugh line, like something you said that you knew was funny, that, you know, you got a laugh or 2 from the director or the camera person in rehearsal. You did not have in the final filming of it. That if you were to do it again, I mean, because the reaction of the show that we had the last couple nights when we did it was great.
You know what gave me more time to play with it? It's when people start to laugh, you realize where you are, where the funny things are, and you start to take your time, and the audience will lead you.
Yeah.
They will lead you in a subtle way.
Absolutely.
And it was fun. But yeah, I missed that immensely, doing the whole thing, and obviously it's, and I, you know, where I was taught by my improv teacher was, when someone laughs, you listen, and till it peaks, and just as it's coming down, that's when it's coming down. You start you catch it, and so that they don't have the time to.
Well, I mean, it's twofold, right? You want to let it go so you don't step on it, because that gives. I mean, the one thing that I learned was allow people to laugh, because if you start off early, and you say something funny, but you try to get in, or the person you're working with says something funny, and you don't allow that space for the audience to, the rest of the show is going to be rough, because you've not allowed the audience permission to laugh, because if they do, they're afraid that they're going to laugh over something that you say that might be an important plot point.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. I mean, I've been on stage when something laughed and then someone said something, and I didn't even hear what they said. It's like, what is it my cue? And then I have to go, yeah, all right. So it's I mean, it's the thing. It's just like because the service you're providing is giving them enjoyment. That is the end goal.
Absolutely.
Of theater. It's not actually being perfect on stage.
It's a hard thing for many of us to learn, I think.